Hi creative friends, my name is Ashley the Thrifty Chica. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making a mug for teachers and I'm going to walk you through how you can create it with this project. I also will have a link in the description box so you can go straight to the project and start creating yourself. This is such a fun one to customize with different colors of infusible ink, and it's great to add with a gift card too. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content, and let's get started. Here are the supplies you'll need for this project. I'm going to be using a Cricut mug, or you can substitute a Sublimation mug. This is the 12-ounce size that I'm using. I'm also going to be using Cricut Infusible ink transfer sheets. These are the ones for the Cricut Joy, or you can use the ones meant for the Mug Press. I'm using the color black. A lint roller, one of the light grip mats. I'm also going to be using some butcher paper or parchment paper, an EasyPress mat, and then the mug press as well. When you open your box of infusible ink, you'll have two sheets, and we're going to go ahead and use one of those. It also comes with a parchment paper that you'll use for this project. That's because I'm using the Cricut Joy specific ones, or the larger sheets as well will have parchment paper with it. Whenever you're working with infusible ink, make sure that you have clean and dry hands. And we're going to be placing this face up on the mat. The other side is the side with the carrier sheet, so we place that side face down. So we're just going to line this up on our mat. Just make sure you press it down well so that way it's firmly adhered to your mat. Okay, we just need to load our project into the machine.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here.
Okay, now it's ready to unload. And to remove this from the mat, we're going to flip it over and just roll this away. And for this, we're leaving the majority of it the same background color. This will be black on the background. So we're going to go ahead and break out our weeding tool and start removing all the little pieces in here. So we want to remove all the lettering. We're going to have that stay the white background for the mug. And for the easiest results, what you're going to want to do is you do the cracking technique. So we're just going to kind of roll this in our hands. And the reason for this is it helps to release the lettering or your design from the background. So you won't hear it as much when you're working with a smaller project, but on large projects, you'll definitely hear kind of this cracking noise as you rotate this around in your hands. So just go ahead and spend some time doing this. If you're not finding that it releases easily from the background, that just means you need to spend a little bit more time working on cracking the design, so that way it will release. I always recommend going in the direction of the design as well. You're going to have the best results if you spend a little bit of extra time and you just go in the same direction as it. So I'm just going to take my weeding tool and I'm placing my finger behind the design and I'm kind of pressing up, which helps to release that section a little bit easier. And we're just going to take the little pieces as we're working on them. This is where you're going to want to break out your lint roller. And if you use your lint roller, it keeps your work surface a lot cleaner and it's just a lot easier. So that way you don't have infusible ink getting in the middle of your other projects as well.
I got time, it's clear to see.
If you're working with lettering, something to keep in mind is if there are any background pieces, make sure to leave those behind because those make a big difference in your design. So any background pieces that go in the center, leave those there. There are two different ways that you could have cut this design when you're looking at it. As you can see, the letters are really thin. So the reason that I left it so that the background is the majority of it is because these letters are so thin. I wanted to make sure that the letters would show through, and if you have something like very small or fine font, a lot of times you'll have better results if instead of applying the letters, you're removing the letters, and it just gives you a more finished looking result. So that's one of my tips. If you want to work with small lettering, remove the lettering itself and let the background make the lettering pop out from the design.
From up here, the world seems small, we can sit together.
And here's a common problem that sometimes pops up with the center of little pieces popping up. If you save those pieces, you can just use your tool to place them back in. And because it's a sticky backing, once you have it placed back in, you can just press that back down and then it will look correct. And you can always double check by flipping it around and taking a look at the design from the other side. In Design Space, this image is actually backwards. It's usually a black ring with the black on the outside and then the rings on around the heart being black, so it alternates black and white. So this one we're reversing it and we're going to make the outside ring white and then also removing some of the other pieces in there. So it's going to look a little bit different than the design, but I think it's going to look really cool. So I'll just go ahead and start removing this section.
It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go.
Normally the tabs will stay on. In this case, they came off, but I'm going to use the heat-resistant tape to tape this on. So we have the design how we'd like. You can always double check the design by flipping it around, and you can see if there's any spots that you've missed or anything that doesn't look quite right. So we know what the design looks like. We're ready to go with that. Let's go ahead and prep our mug. You'll take your mug, and this is where you want to break out a lint roller. The reason for this is there's likely to be little fuzzies or hairs, anything like that that could interfere with your design. You want to remove this in advance. So make sure that your mug is clean and free from any oils or debris that could interfere with the design. We're going to get our design prepared. We're going to break out the heat-resistant tape, and I'm going to go ahead and place this on the sides. So it's going to be placed with the design facing in on the mug. We want the ink to transfer directly to the mug. So whenever you use tape, you're going to be placing it on the outside of where your design is. So I'm just going to roll this tape across the outside and the back here. And whenever you're working with infusible ink, the easiest way to apply it is to place it so that your mug handle is facing you. And then you're just going to lay it on a flat surface and wrap this around and then measure out from the sides. So you want to make sure that this is evenly distributed across the edges of your mug. And so you can always adjust the wrap as needed. So that way it's no more than half an inch close to the handle of the mug. Anything from a half inch in will not get hit by the mug press. So that's why we want to make sure that it's lined up perfectly because otherwise you'll have problems with it not actually getting the full amount of the design. The wrap is automatically sized to the perfect size for the mug press. So just make sure that you have it wrapped evenly and then it will work exactly how you'd like. When you feel pretty comfortable with the location of it, wrap one side, and this is where you can apply the tape down. If you are using the mug design and it has the tabs still on it, mine cut through, so I'm just adding tape. You can just press down the tabs on that side and just make sure that it's adhered really well. Then you'll place this back flat, hold onto your mug, and you're going to wrap it very tightly around your mug. And the reason for us wrapping it so tightly is you're going to get your best transfer if it's wrapped very tightly to the mug, because we don't want anything interfering with the design onto our mug here. So we can also add some more tape just to make sure that it's nice and secure. So you can usually get away with just using the tabs if you're using the tabs, but it's always handy that if you have any doubts at all, add a few more pieces of tape, and it really just ensures that everything stays in place and exactly where it belongs. So because I'm using black, black is a little bit harder to transfer because you have to make sure it's perfect. You'll notice a difference if you don't. So I'm going to make sure I definitely have taped down those sections and to make sure that I have the best results possible. So I'm going to wrap a little bit more tape around this. And you can kind of see right here, there would be a section that wouldn't get as much heat applied to this. And because there's a gap, that would be more likely to have fading or ghosting or just not a complete transfer. And that's why I go ahead and add some extra tape and spend a little bit more time on those sections, is to make sure that everything applies consistently. I've also prepped my EasyPress mat and just a sheet of butcher paper nearby. That way it doesn't transfer any ink onto my mat. We're gonna turn this on and let this heat up. Okay, our mug press is heated up. We're gonna place our mug in, and be careful because it is hot. Make sure to center this as you're closing it. It's gonna start a countdown timer, and it's gonna take approximately 6 minutes. So this is very hot, so be careful whenever you're working with it. Make sure you're on a heat safe surface and you have adequate ventilation. Once this is done, we're gonna go ahead and lift the handle and we'll remove it and place it on here to cool.
Take a step back to see the truth around.
Okay, so the mug is cooled down completely, and we can untape this and see how it turned out.
You, from a distance you can tell. You and me.
So there we go. Really neat. I love how that design turned out. It's cool even reversed. I wasn't sure if it would give the same look being reversed, but it turned out really neat. So what do you guys think of the finished project? I think it turned out really cool, and hopefully that's something that a teacher would love. I think this would be great paired with something like a gift card for a teacher, and you know, a nice handwritten card especially. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content, and leave a comment below and let me know what crafts you're up to lately. I hope you're having a wonderful day.
We're meant to be.